September 14th, 1943, a date etched in the memory of Smolensk. For 2 long years, the city had endured the brutal grip of Nazi occupation. But on this day, the Red Army returned, bringing with them the promise of freedom. The battle for Smolensk was more than just a military campaign. It was a struggle for the very soul of Russia. Its recapture, after months of bitter fighting, marked a turning point in the war on the Eastern Front. The victory at Smolensk came at a terrible cost. Yet amidst the devastation, a spirit of resilience flickered. The liberation of Smolensk was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Soviet people, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. To understand the significance of Smolensk, one must first grasp its geographical importance. Throughout history, this ancient city has stood as the western gateway to Moscow, a vital fortress guarding the approaches to the Russian heartland. Napoleon, in his ill-fated invasion of 1812, recognized Smolensk's strategic value. Over a century later, during the Second World War, history would repeat itself. Hitler viewed Smolensk as a key objective in his conquest. In the summer of 1941, the Wehrmacht launched their offensive towards Moscow. Smolensk, standing in their path, became the scene of a titanic clash of arms. The fierce resistance displayed at Smolensk exposed the flaws in Hitler's belief in a swift victory, setting the stage for the protracted and brutal struggle that would characterize the Eastern Front. The summer of 1943 witnessed a dramatic shift in the fortunes of war on the Eastern Front. The German defeat at the Battle of Kursk marked a turning point in the conflict. Seizing the initiative, the Red Army launched a series of offensives aimed at liberating Soviet territory from Nazi occupation. The city of Smolensk became a prime target. The Soviet counter-offensive was a monumental undertaking. Millions of men and women were mobilized. Factories worked around the clock to churn out tanks, artillery, and aircraft. The Red Army, bloodied but unbroken by years of war, was a far different force than the one that had faced the initial German onslaught. Their leadership, tempered by experience and hardened by adversity, had devised a new strategy. The road to Smolensk was long and arduous, littered with the remnants of previous battles. Yet fueled by a burning desire to liberate their homeland, the Red Army advanced relentlessly, pushing the exhausted and demoralized German forces back towards their own borders. Section 4. Operation Suvorov Unleashed. The Battle for Smolensk. Operation Suvorov, named after the legendary 18th century Russian general, was the code name for the Soviet offensive aimed at liberating Smolensk. Launched on August 7, 1943, the operation involved massive concentrations of Soviet troops and firepower. The initial assault caught the Germans off guard. Under a thunderous barrage of artillery, the Red Army surged forward, spearheaded by waves of T-34 tanks. The fighting was brutal and unrelenting, a maelstrom of steel, fire and blood. The Germans, despite being pushed back, fought tenaciously, determined to hold on to Smolensk for as long as possible. Finally, after days of brutal fighting, Soviet forces captured Hill 233.0, dealing a severe blow to the German defenses. With the strategic high ground in their hands, the Red Army tightened the noose around Smolensk. Section 5. Tales of Valor, the Human Cost of Liberation. The liberation of Smolensk was not achieved without a heavy price. Millions of soldiers on both sides fought and died in the battlefields around the city. One such story is that of Sergeant Ivan Konev, a tank commander in the 1st Guards Tank Army. During the assault on Hill 233.0, Konev's tank was hit by enemy fire, killing his entire crew. Despite being severely wounded himself, Konev refused to abandon his burning tank. He continued to fire on the enemy, single-handedly holding off a German counterattack until reinforcements arrived. The courage displayed by soldiers like Konev was mirrored by the resilience of the civilian population. Their sacrifices, often overlooked in the grand narratives of war, were essential to the Soviet victory.